Alright, so about a month ago, I did a review on Angham by Lattafa, and this is said to be inspired by Burberry Goddess. Today, we're going to be talking about another Burberry Goddess inspiration, which is Athena by MAISON ALHAMBRA. If you've seen this review, you already know how I feel about this particular fragrance, but if you'd like to know what I think about Athena, then definitely stick around and keep on watching. Okay, so I'm gonna try to be as objective as possible in this particular video. First of all, we're gonna talk about Athena, and then we're gonna do a comparison between Athena and Angham, and then we'll talk about how close these fragrances come to duping the original Burberry Goddess. Alright, so first of all, let's talk about Athena. So this is what Athena looks like, and this is the box it came in. Honestly, there's nothing particularly special about the box. It's just, I mean, I guess it's very simple. There's nothing special about it. I'm gonna put it aside because we're not interested in the box that much. But I do find that the bottle is pretty elegant. Like, it's not doing too much, but it's pretty nice. Look at the color of that cap. It's just so, it's chic without doing too much. Now, moving on to the juice. I've sprayed this on myself already, but just so I remind myself of what it smells like. Okay. Oh, that is a generous cup. That is a generous sprayer. I like that. That is very nice. That is very, very nice. So I've had this for a couple of weeks now. The first time I sprayed it, what really hit me was that lavender. It was like somewhat of a sharp lavender. It's not necessarily sharp, but if we are comparing that to Angham, the lavender here is just a little bit sharper. So the first time I sprayed it, I really got that lavender before I started to get that vanilla after it dried down. But because I've kept this for, I want to say I've had it for 3 weeks now. Now that I've sprayed it, the lavender is somewhat softer. It's somewhat softer, and I immediately get that vanilla. Like, I immediately get that sweet, somewhat dense vanilla. That smells really good. That smells really good. So the lavender in Athena, I would say, is more floral. Now in Angham, we do get that lavender, but it's more of kind of like a spicy, gingery lavender. The lavender in here is more floral. It's more true to what lavender smells like. And I'm putting this in quotation mark because there are other scent notes, there are other things they've added to the fragrance, so it's most likely not just lavender, but this smells more of like a true lavender, like a true lavender, and that sweet, somewhat dense vanilla scent. Does that make sense? Now, from my observation, the very big difference between the two fragrances is that one, which is Athena, actually leans more floral. Like the lavender is a little bit more floral, and then we have that like somewhat dense sweet vanilla in the depth. Now with Angham, we have more of a spicy, gingery lavender with like, and also dense vanilla, which is more gourmand because of the other scent notes in there, because we have like praline and we have that cacao. That in combination with the vanilla just makes the fragrance lean in general more gourmand. But they do smell very similar, especially in the opening. When Athena arrived, because you all know how I feel about Angham, I'm not the biggest fan of it. Not because it doesn't smell good, it's just not, it doesn't, I don't like Lattafa's rendition of Burberry Goddess. Let's just put it that way. But it doesn't smell bad at all. But when I first got Athena, yeah, and I sprayed it on my hand, when I noticed how similar the both of them smelled, initially I was like, my first reaction was I wasn't happy. Like, I wasn't happy. I was like, oh my god, Angham has ruined my love, like my taste for this particular DNA. But then as it began to dry down, I quickly noticed that there were noticeable like difference between the two fragrances. They do smell very similar, but they're not exactly alike. Like I said, Athena is kind of, it's more floral, Angham is more gourmand. So the next thing you might want to know about is whether these fragrances smell like the original or not. Now, the very first thing I'm going to tell you is that they do have that Burberry Goddess DNA. I went to the mall because I wanted to, you know, revisit Burberry Goddess, really remind myself of what that smells like, because I've smelled this fragrance before, and this was when I was in Lincoln, and I remember when I sprayed Burberry Goddess around that time, the only the scent that I was really getting was that lavender. Like that lavender was really prominent in the fragrance. It was after some time when it began to dry down that I was getting that vanilla, and I was like, oh, that smells so good. So I almost bought it, but unfortunately it sold out. But that's a while. That it's been a while. So I wanted to remind myself of what Burberry Goddess smells like. So I went to the mall and I smelled it again. And I think that the bottle that I sprayed has been out like on the counter for some time. So this time around, even though I did get that vanilla, even though I did get that lavender, I almost immediately got that sweet vanilla. Almost immediately, that sweet vanilla. However, in the total dry down, I got what I would describe as a woody scent note in the total dry down, like somewhat of a sandalwoody kind of woody scent note in the total dry down. And this is something that is missing in both Athena and Angham. Initially, I was wondering if I was getting slight woods in Athena, and I think that might be the case, but it doesn't really have that woody total dry down that Burberry Goddess has, but that's beside the point. So Burberry Goddess, to me, for me, okay, and I keep adding this because it's very important. So on my skin, I was getting what I would characterize as, even though a prominent lavender, but a soft, feminine, prominent lavender. I know for some people they say that the lavender is sharp. On my skin, it was soft and feminine, and then I got that sweet vanilla scent, like that sweet vanilla depth to it, and then I got that woody dry down in the very total dry down, that woody dry down, right? Burberry Goddess is very much like a daytime femme fatale kind of scent. It's femme fatale, but not like, you know, the dark kind of femme fatale, but definitely daytime femme fatale, if such a thing even exists. To me, Angham is an 85% similar to the original, because in the first place, it doesn't have that woody dry down that I'm talking about, which is not necessarily a bad thing though. It's just something that I've noticed. And in the second place, this leans more gourmand than the original fragrance. I found that the lavender in Burberry Goddess, by comparison, yeah, it is a little, it's not necessarily sharp. It's more prominent, and it's soft, but the lavender in Angham is smooth. The overall, like the general impression that I have of this particular fragrance is that it leans more gourmand, while Burberry Goddess is more floral. Now Athena, to me, this is more of like this one smells the closest to the original in my opinion. I would say that it's like a 90 to 95% similar to the original. The first thing that is missing here is that woody dry down, and the lavender in here is a lot closer to the lavender in Burberry Goddess. This is more floral, and as it dries down, honestly, it does get softer. Very much prominent like Burberry Goddess too, but it does get softer. So to me, Athena is like a 90 to 95% similar to the original, and Angham to me is like an 85% similar to the original, because again, they took the original DNA and they did something else to it. When we're talking about like the projection, I do feel like this fragrance does project. It's not, I personally wouldn't describe this as beast mode, and honestly, fragrances don't always have to be beast mode. It's not necessarily beast mode. For me, the projection is most likely average, maybe a little above average. And with longevity, this one definitely does last a lot longer on clothes than it does on skin, but it does last on skin. I feel like on your skin, you're gonna get about maybe 3 to 4 hours of strong projection, maybe 5 hours of strong projection, but after that it turns into, like, you know, a beautiful skin set. But on clothes, this definitely does last pretty long. The same thing for Angham. Yeah, Angham is not necessarily a beast mode fragrance in my opinion, but this definitely has, for some people say that this fragrance is faint, and I've seen 2 videos of people who felt that way, and I'm not gonna lie, I was a little surprised, because the scent here to me was pretty dense. But that's the thing, fragrances are very subjective and they work differently on different skin, you know, body chemistry and stuff like that. But yeah, so I would describe this as like with the projection is definitely above that, just slightly above average for me, and it lasts super long on clothes. Now you will most likely get maybe a little over like 8-10 hours, but I have sprayed this fragrance on clothes and I could still smell it on me like the whole day. Now I don't know, well, I don't have Burberry Goddess, like I've not used that fragrance extensively, but when I was doing my trial, like when I went to smell it at the mall, I put some on my hands, and by the time I got home I couldn't smell it at all, which I don't know about the longevity. I can't really speak on it, but from what I've seen, Burberry Goddess doesn't seem to be the most long-lasting fragrance, and this is where Athena and Angham kind of beats Burberry Goddess in my opinion. I'm probably gonna have to use it and really test out the longevity, but from what I'm seeing so far, and Athena seem to be more long-lasting than the original. As to which one smells better than the other, honestly, I think it just largely depends on your taste and your preference. Now, if you're looking for a fragrance that is inspired by Burberry Goddess, but you want something that is as close and true to the original as possible, I would recommend that you go in for Athena. And if you're someone who largely, you know, you enjoy floral kind of scents, you like lavender and you like vanilla, I think Athena might actually be the perfect one for you, because this it definitely has that Burberry Goddess DNA, but it leans a little bit more floral, which in my opinion is closer to the original. But if you wanted something that smells like Burberry Goddess but you would prefer that it leans more into the gourmand aspect of the fragrance, Angham will be the perfect one for you, because this also smells very much like Burberry Goddess, but it leans more gourmand with, you know, the addition of not just the cacao but also the praline. This is the gourmand version, the very gourmandy version of Burberry Goddess, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's basically it for this video. I cannot tell you guys how much, however, I was looking forward to when Angham would finish, so I wouldn't have to use this fragrance again. I'm so disappointed, but again, it is by no means a bad scent. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope to see you guys in my next one. Bye.